All right, welcome back to News Desk. We continue informing you about the latest developments. Now, a section of members of parliament allied to Deputy President William Ruto have urged former Prime Minister Raila Odinga to focus his energy on his new appointment as the African Union Special Envoy on Infrastructure and Development. The MPs want Odinga to retire from politics, even as the 2022 race to State House shapes up. Now, our political affairs reporter Murimi Mwangi is engaging the minority whip in Parliament, Jeanette Mohammed, who is also the Suna East Member of Parliament. Over to you, Murimi Mwangi.
Well, good afternoon. Day 3 since that announcement that former Prime Minister Raila Odinga would be the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development, a strategic position that now catapults him to the African infrastructural agenda, giving him special powers to also lobby individual member states in Africa as well as regional economic blocs to streamline that to the agenda in terms of infrastructure. This coming just a few months from that famous March 9th cooperation deal with the man who was his chief political opponent in the 2017 poll, President Uhuru Kenyatta. But let's speak to a man who happened to have been on the floor of Harambee House on eve of what has come to be known as the handshake. Mheshimiwa Jeanette Mohammed, perhaps is this ultimately now the takeaway from the handshake?
It depends on how you see it. Many things have been associated with the handshake. But this is one job that I think was given to Raila because of his credentials as a Pan-Africanist. You know very well that Raila has been a Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya, a party leader of ODM, coalition leader, NASA. So the continent, in consultation with the President, felt that he is the right person that fits that kind of job to connect the African continent in terms of infrastructure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, we know him as an active politician. Perhaps what will now be his routine of operations? Where will he be operating from?
He will still remain the party leader of ODM. And he was a prime minister, and he still remained party leader of ODM. And he will be based here in Nairobi, but he will have offices in Africa. He will have an office in Joburg. He'll have an office in Lagos, an office in Cairo, an office in Addis Ababa, but his main office will be here in Nairobi. And he will be discharging his duties and functions from here and sometimes outside the country. But whenever he's needed for his political duties, he will be available. He will be there. And, being appointed to a continental body does not deprive him from executing his political mandate. I give normally an example of Madam Zuma, Dlamini Zuma. She was the chair of the AU, but she was also a high-ranking party member of the ANC party in South Africa. And you remember even the last presidential nominations of the ANC in South Africa, she lost by a whisker. She almost defeated the current President Ramaphosa. So that tells you that you can work at the continent level, you can work internationally, but you still remain active in the matters pertaining to your country.
But wouldn't you agree with these Jubilee legislators that are now suggesting that he ought to retire from active politics because the new position, in a way, alienates him from what we know as the routine, active politics that has been happening in the country, perhaps in the aftermath of the 2017 polls?
This business of retiring Raila from politics has been ongoing for some time now. From the year 2013, even before that, any opponent that feels threatened by Raila's presence always prays for retirement of Raila. But that will only be done by the people. It can't be done by few individuals, as I saw yesterday in Kapsabet, some who are just shouting and making noise. And you cannot, dictate your opponent's decision. He is the one to decide what to do. But I think that's a misplaced thing. Those are people who suffer from what has been known as Raila phobia. They fear Raila. They think now that he has become a continental leader, they think that has even maybe increased his credentials as a presidential material in our country now. So that is out of fear, not out of love, or not out of, thinking that the guy has done a good job. It is out of fear. They fear him. They think that the man is rising higher and higher as time goes, and they expected him to be going down and down. So we don't take them any more serious. When you have the only tool you have is a hammer, you think your biggest problem is a nail. So the only tool they have is Raila. So they keep on hammering him. So it's normal. Don't worry about it. It will not go anywhere far.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Suna East legislator Junet Mohammed. Perhaps you would call Odinga the enigma of Kenyan politics, as scholars in politics tend to refer to him, this being a new stature that comes with his appointment to this special position as the African Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development. Back to you, Jesse, in studio.
All right, thank you, Murimi Mwangi. Having a talk with Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed on the